Hello, hello. This is kind of an impromptu live, and it's because we're supposed to do our daily hi-fi podcast like we usually do on Mondays, but a lot of craziness today. We all just found out that AXPONA has been rescheduled for August 7th through the 9th because of, you guessed it, coronavirus stuff. So, obviously there are concerns there. And, I think everybody just doing the best that they can. And it's just kind of unfortunate here. So anyway, I figured I'd take this opportunity to, still go live and talk to you guys. I haven't done this in a while. So, yeah, we'll just play it by ear, talk. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Um, if you are in the chat, go ahead and make sure to say something there and let me know if you can hear me and if everything is going through okay here. Just double check everything here. So yeah, I can answer questions, whatever you guys feel like doing today. I figured I was here, I was ready to do this live stream, so um, you know, I'm ready. Pote, how you doing? What's up? What's up? Another thing we were talking about earlier today is we're trying to figure out, what we're going to do about these podcasts moving forward. Just because, it takes a good amount of time to get everybody together, to take an hour out of every Monday to do them, and to get guests, whatever we're doing on that particular day. And we've invested a lot, in equipment and all kinds of stuff to make sure everything is good, that it sounds good for you guys, things like that. We're still kind of getting that together, but just kind of, I guess, trying to figure out what is the best way to go about that moving forward, right? Because it has to also make sense for us to do them, right? So as of right now, it's kind of like, there's nothing monetary that we're getting in return, as opposed to, let's say, if we make a video on YouTube, we get at least, YouTube ad revenue, things like that. So I'm not sure if we're going to go the route where we're going to try to ask for super chats to help support us, or maybe start a Patreon for that page, or, different options. So we're trying to figure it all out. If you guys have any recommendations, what you think we should do, then I'm open to that. Uh, let's say, hey, what's up? Randy says, evening, going solo tonight. Yeah, I'm going solo tonight. I don't know where these guys are at right now. Let's see. No, so they're messaging over there. It's okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me know. You know, the mic sounds okay. But yeah, we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. I do have some reviews coming up about let's see here. Next review that I need to get out ASAP is the Klipsch RP600M. Everybody's been asking about those, so I'll definitely get to those for sure. Um, it takes me a while to do those reviews because it's not just, I don't want to just talk and tell you guys what I think. I want to back it up with measurements. you know, I really want to make sure that what I'm saying is true, at least in my room. And so I put a good amount of hours into those things. I stayed up till 5 or 6 a.m. last time. Kyle says, about damn time. Yeah, it's about damn time. But yeah, I wanted to make sure to get it right, because it's a big deal. Klipsch is a big company. And so if I say that they're awesome, maybe a lot of people are going to go out and buy them. And if people don't think that they're actually awesome, then they're gonna say, "Hey, man, I bought these speakers based on your recommendation, and I didn't love them." But I don't think that that's gonna be the case. Chana's saying, "Are you gonna be using Streamyard?" No, I'm just going direct. So I'm just here to talk to you guys today. Yeah, Klipsch RP600Ms. I'm gonna get that review out ASAP. Of course, I got to make it look good. That's the whole thing. The reschedule, yes. Fresh urinal cakes. All right, I know who you are. Yeah, so Expona's been rescheduled. So craziness. I posted there on the description. I think it's August 7th through the 9th. So it was supposed to be April 16th to 19th, I believe. So yeah, I have to reschedule my flight. We're all supposed to be over there, and the crazy thing is, Chana won't be able to make it. So, because August, I guess he has a lot of different things booked up. So that kind of sucks. But what can you do? What can you do? We're all doing our best, right? Um, but yeah, that's gonna happen. I was talking about the different reviews I still have to do. So I have the Clips RP600Ms. Yeah, a lot of people want to hear about those. I have the these a lot of these edifier speakers. I'm comparing them to each other. And then I also have the PSB Alpha P5s. So little tiny speakers. I have those to review. What else? I think that's pretty much it. What earbuds are we rocking today? I think these are some KZ KS10 Pros, which I like. I like these. These are pretty cool. Fresh urinal cakes. He said, yes, I help run a car club and I was going to be driving to Chicago Thursday and coming back down to St. Louis Friday night because we have a meet and a cruise Saturday. Yeah. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, it would have been could have got everything done in one shot, huh? And so right now I'm not using StreamYard, so I can't do that thing we usually do where we throw the comments here on the screen. Whoa, I'm moving the computer. But yeah, Jim Kellogg says good mic, deep, rich broadcast voice. Yeah, that'll be what if my voice cracked? No. Yeah, very different. So, it's open today. I'm just having fun right now. So whatever you guys feel like talking about, whatever you feel like asking, yeah, I'm here to answer those questions. If it's regarding maybe some of the previous videos that I did, maybe I didn't answer some of the questions you had, or maybe you have some other questions. We'll just go from there. So Brian Sylvia says, your take on active towers and why do so many people hate on them? I guess they don't like full range sound. Your take on active towers? Well, I don't think that there's a ton of active towers. I think that they're pretty awesome. I think what have I seen? I've seen some from Dolly, some active towers. Yeah, there are a good amount of companies who make them. I don't think that they're that popular. Just because why aren't they popular? My guess would be because if you're gonna go with floor standing speakers or tower speakers, right? Then you will likely have an amp that you want to use with it, right? Whereas maybe with bookshelf speakers, people are more likely to, want to use those smaller speakers as maybe a soundbar replacement. And so I think that that might be the reason why I get using active. You can apply DSP, you can make it sound awesome. But I'm guessing that that might be the reason. I'm not a hater. I'm not hating on them. I'm just wondering if they sell well. So there's that. What else we got here? What else? So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep talking a little bit about some of the other stuff that I did recently about the room stuff. So it's funny because I thought that that would be a little bit more popular, but it wasn't super popular. Where I was kind of like trying to see what happens if I move the speakers around the room, and I did measurements along with it, so you guys can actually see what happens when the speakers are moved around, and also what happens when you change your listening position, and they're kind of interchangeable. That's what the point of that was. Also, what happens when you start towing the speaker in and out and lifting them up on higher stands, things like that. I thought it was interesting and I thought it was useful. But they weren't my most popular videos. People seem to like unboxings more. They definitely like reviews more. So it's up to you guys. It was whatever you guys like. That's what I'll do. But sometimes I got to do something for myself. So that was kind of more for me. I felt like it's something I wanted to share. And so, yeah. Right. A Leon says, what is your opinion about what is that? WISA? I feel like I should know what that means. Wireless home theater systems. Let me look up what that means. I've seen that before. Wireless. Um. All right. What is it? Wireless, which is short for. What is it short for? Short for wireless speaker and audio. Okay. Um, what is my opinion about wireless home theater speakers systems? Um, I like them. I think it's cool. Any way, just say they're trash, says Kyle. Um, I don't think that they have to be trash, right? Just because something is wireless doesn't mean it has to be trash. And usually, here's the thing: is most of the time they're not wireless, right? You have to plug them in anyway. So this is kind of going off of Brian Sylvia's question about active towers. If they were active and if they had wireless capabilities, you know, I'm talking about wireless so that when you stream something, you can stream the high res file directly to the speakers. So not going to your phone and then going through Bluetooth because that has to re-encode. And of course, you're going to lose a lot of quality that way. But I'm talking about if you could stream directly to from the internet, it's like, Wi-Fi connected, right? Stream directly to those speakers. They don't have to sound terrible. There's no reason why they have to, right? So I like that sort of stuff. I think the more that we advance, and this is what I was supposed to talk about at AXPONA also, is the more that we advance the technology, I think then you'll find more people embracing it. The reason why these companies aren't at CES because there's not very much innovation. Let's be honest, right? How much innovation has there been when it comes to speakers, right? So for us, like maybe DSP is kind of a cool new-ish thing, right? But there's not a ton going on, right? And a lot of times when there is something new, a lot of the older companies don't want to embrace it. They're like, DSP is disgusting, right? So I'm all for embracing new technology. I think that that's what this industry needs. We need to just advance. We got to embrace the technology and move forward and figure out ways like how can we make something smaller and sound better, right? How can we make it not look like a speaker? Whatever it is. So I'm all for wireless. Uh, I have my wife's cousin. They got a new house, and they have Google Home. They have those little ones all around the house, and it's cool. They had a party, and they had it playing throughout the house. You go into the bathroom, music is still playing. Feels like it's a cool environment. But those little things don't sound very excellent, right? And so I told her husband, like, hey, we should set you up with a good system. You got your own house. You're a man now. You know what I mean? What's up? And you know, uh his wife just said, as long as I can talk to it, right? As long as I can talk to the speakers. And that's true, right? I could get them the best system, but if it doesn't have the functionality of these, you know, whatever $50 things, then you kind of lose the point. They want the convenience. So we need to make it convenient and we need to make it sound better. That's what these companies need to really focus on. Right. So hopefully that answers your question. Brendan says you guys should check out Axiom Audio, a Canadian speaker company. They've just released an active omnidirectional series of speakers. Yeah, you know what? I've never really tried any omnidirectional speakers, but I have seen that company around. Yeah, they want to send me something. I'm open. Actually, I got to get through all these speakers first. So don't send me anything right now. Right. Dumb is enough. Enough said. All right. Getting booming from my tower speakers with two rear ports. I cannot move them away from the walls, both in corners. What other speaker type can I use? Well, I did a, a video about what are they port like what are they called? I don't. They're called bungs or they're called port. Like I don't know. They're just like you cover the port with them, right? They're just foam, really plugs, port plugs. And the funny thing is, I have some because they came with some Bowers and Wilkins speakers I had a while back, but I can't find them on Amazon. So whoever wants to make those, I think you'll sell a ton of them, make a bunch of different sizes and stuff, and use that nice foam. But I did an experiment and I posted it only on Instagram, so it wasn't on YouTube. But it was kind of the same as those room things I was doing, where I tested the speaker with and without the port plug, and it makes a huge difference when you have them closer to the wall. It definitely helps with that. Now, you'd probably want to test to see how it affects your particular speakers, but it might be something that you could try without getting new speakers if you like those speakers. If you want to get new speakers, then get new speakers. And your options are either to get a sealed floor standing, which I don't know is that common, right? A sealed one, or you're gonna have to work with DSP, right? You're gonna have to let the computer take over and figure out how to make that not sound as boomy. And the other thing you can do is, of course, use DSP or plug the ports, but then use a sub and put the sub where you can put it optimally, right? Kind of defeats the purpose a little bit of floor standing because you're cutting off the bass response, which is why you'd probably want floor standers, but whatever. How do you like the Sean says, how do you like the Edifier S2000 Pros? And I would say you have to wait for my full review of those. But I think Edifier, I think they're excellent at providing value, right? So these right here, I think are 99 bucks. Crazy. Those over there with a sub, I think what, maybe 349, 399, somewhere around there. But that sub's pretty legit. And the S2000 also I think around 399, and they have a lot to offer at that price. You have to remember there's an amplifier built into that thing, right? So I think it has a lot of competition within that price range. But yeah, I think they're doing their thing. I think they're doing their thing. Let's see here. He also says active speakers are the future. Yeah. The thing I like about active is because it makes it easier for people to get into it. The thing I don't like about it is it's not modular, right? So it doesn't give you the opportunity to switch out different speakers and then keep the amp and then change your amp. Um, for me, that's part of the fun, but not everybody wants to do that. So in that particular case, active all the way. Robert says, "Thank you for all that you do. I've learned so much from you." Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, and that's why I do this. If nobody was watching, I might still do this, but it makes more sense if you guys are out there watching and learning something and getting some use out of it. So, thank you for that comment. Jim Kellogg says SVS has a wireless speaker system. Yes, they do. I've never reviewed that one, but I think it's a SVS Prime Wireless. Who else? Klipsch has a wireless speaker as well. So yeah, we got a few companies. Uh, Leon says thank you. Brendan Lawton says true that technology is what can bring more audiophiles into this hobby. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we need. We need some innovation. There's no trick to it. So, as you know, we do some sponsored stuff, right? So I do sponsored stuff where I say, "Hey, this video is sponsored by blah blah blah," right? And so that's a sponsored ad, meaning they pay. I say, what they want me to say. But a lot of times I might turn down a company, right? I might say like, you could pay me, but I don't I don't really believe in your product. There's not too much that I can do for you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, people can market all they want, but you need a great product. There's no secret to it, right? If you don't have a great product, it's an uphill battle. You can throw all this money at it, right? And maybe you'll trick a few people into buying the product. But what happens when they review it on Amazon? This product sucks, right? So it doesn't really make sense. You always have to start with a great product. If you have a great product now, here's who I would prefer to deal with. I prefer to deal with companies who have a great product, but maybe not a lot of people know about them, right? And so those people I can help, right? Because I can get people to take a look at them if they try them out and they're like, "Hey, this guy's right. These are awesome," right? I think I think those are the companies I'm most excited about helping. Um, let's see here. Uh, Alion also says you touch on it with Scott Wilkinson, but what do you think the future is for speakers that work for mainstream? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by work for mainstream, but I'm guessing you're saying what do I think about the future for speakers for the normal person, right? Um, I think a lot of change has to happen. There's a lot of change that has to happen in the industry, The like I was saying earlier, the products themselves have to change, right? So they have to come out with compelling products. The price range has to be realistic. You know, like the price can't be $30,000. That's for such a small group of people, you know. And it's crazy because you have only a handful of companies who really get it, right? And they're companies who we might scoff at, right? We, audiophile, not me necessarily, but if we look at Bose, if we look at Apple, if we look at Sony, I don't think they're having any problem selling audio gear, right? I know for sure Apple is not, because if you look at their AirPod sales, it's equal. They would be, if it was just AirPod sales, they would be in the Fortune 500, like number 200. They're selling so many of those things. So they don't have an issue, and it's because they figured out a way to integrate audio products with other stuff that people care about, right? They care about call quality, they care about noise canceling, they care about how it looks, they understand what people want, right? And I think the problem with most audio companies right now is they understand what they want, and they understand what they would want people to want, what they wish people would want, but they don't really understand what people want, right? And they don't want to meet them there either, because they might look at what those people are looking for and say, "Oh, poor quality. Oh, you're listening to YouTube music. Oh, you're listening to Spotify. You know." Instead of figuring out ways to say, "Hey, you know what? I get it. That's where you're at. Let's meet you there. Here's a product that is made for you, but we have a better product too, and we'll move you up that way if you want," right? But they're not willing to do that a lot of times. So I think that's where the issue lies. So hopefully that answers your question. Kyle says, going to venture more into headphones or sticking mostly to speakers? I think they go hand in hand, right? Speakers, headphones, they're all the same, right? Just a different place where you're listening. I still prefer to listen on speakers, right? If I have the opportunity, I prefer to listen on speakers. But yeah, shoot, if I had a cool car that I could work on, I'd probably go into some car audio too. It never stops, man. Audio, for me, audio is exciting because it's a thing that you cannot see, right? So you can't see the audio part. You can see video. Video is easy to see, but you can't see audio. But I think it's still one of the most important aspects of the experience, right? Everybody knows that. The weird thing is, like, you know, I'm actually not sure. I say that all the time, but I don't know how true it is. Just because, I can have my kids watching on the iPad, right? And they're young, they're 3, 2, whatever. But even if there's no sound, they'll still watch that thing, right? But I'm curious to see if I only had the audio, would they still be attached to that iPad? You know what I mean? So I do believe that I don't think it's 50%. People say, audio is 50% of the experience. I don't I think it's less, right? I think it's less of an experience, less percentage. I think it's still important, but I would say that, yeah, I think most people would still rather see video. Um Now bad audio is a whole different thing. People hate bad audio. Let's just say 30%, still a big part of it, right? I kind of got distracted there, but my point being that good audio is important, right? Whether it's headphones or speakers. Let's see here. Okay. Progressive guy, to save money, just stuff a sock in it. Yeah, you could stuff a sock in that port if you'd like. Anything would work, really. As long as it's a good seal. Dom enough said thanks. You're welcome. Michael Larson says Zeos Pantera loves the edifiers. I know. He loves edifiers. Um, so this is actually the first time I've reviewed any edifiers. So I've been reaching out to them for a while, like, hey, I do budget audio stuff. Like, can I review some of your speakers? And for a long time, they were wanting to send me some weird, some speakers I really wasn't interested in reviewing. I said, let me review the most popular speakers that you have, right? The most popular ones on Amazon. Those are the ones I want to check out. So they finally agreed. So I got to get to those. Let's see. Michael Larson says active speakers are always have some white noise that passive speakers don't have, and makes studio monitors less perfect for near field listening. Um, I don't think that has to always be the case. You know, I think a lot of times you'll get some studio monitor speakers and they're budget speakers, to be honest, right? So they can't afford to put a really excellent amp in there, and so the amp is noisy. You know, um, but yeah, I don't think that has to be the case. The ones I'm using right now, I use these over some of the other powered speakers, and these are some like Hercules Monitor 5s because they're quiet. So that was really important to me. I don't like to hear noise when it's, 3 a.m. and I'm working on a video. I don't want to hear anything unless there's sound supposed to be coming out of that speaker. What else we got here? Um, Alien says, very good points. Designing for themselves instead of new customers. Yeah, and I think it all comes down to like sales, right? The companies who are usually doing well, they're usually it's like a cyclical thing. So the people are usually cool. You see them at a show and they're fun to talk to and like they respond, right? But the companies who aren't doing so well, they're always the grumpiest ones, right? Because they came to the show, spent all this money, they're not making any sales. So it's just funny because it's cyclical, right? If they kind of lightened up and figured out what people wanted and they were, better at business overall, they would be happier because people would probably buy their stuff. So, as you may know, I'm a businessman also. So I like audio, but I liken myself to a business person. I've always liked business. I haven't worked for anybody in about 20 years, so I would be a terrible employee. Um, so yeah, when a lot of times you'll hear me talk about it from the business aspect, just because I'm seeing a big disconnect, right? When I talk to you guys, I see what you guys want, right? And then I go talk to these companies, they're like, no, 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 people don't like that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I have everybody asking me about this particular thing, but they don't see it. Sean says, whoa, what happened to my focus? Hold on a second. What are these guys saying? Okay, no, no, okay. Okay. They're saying if they want to join in, but it's too late. I already started this live thing here without using StreamYard. I was just kind of curious. The reason I did that because I was kind of curious to see what the quality was like because StreamYard's only 720. So I don't know what this is, if this is 720 or not. Sean says Google Play Music will still sound good. I have a mixture of 16-bit FLAC and 320 kilobit files. I ain't tripping with higher bit rate. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people are like, I have a video out that's Spotify, or I switched to YouTube Music from Spotify, and a lot of people are like, oh, the quality on YouTube Music is trash. Now, I'm not using that to evaluate, you know, sound quality. I'm using that when I'm taking a shower. You know what I mean? I have it playing on that little Google speaker. So I don't think I'd be able to tell a difference between that and Tidal or Cobuzz, right? I'm listening a lot of times in the car because I don't want to like kill the data, even though it's unlimited data, whatever. I don't want to be wasteful and be streaming Tidal. I don't know that I'd be able to hear the difference in the car, right? Because the car is noisy, right? If you're on the freeway, it's noisy. So will I be able to hear that difference? No. But if I'm sitting and evaluating speakers, you better believe I'm listening on either Tidal or Cobuzz. So yeah, people have to get a sense of perspective. You know what I mean? There's a tool for certain jobs, right? And so YouTube Music is awesome for what I'm saying, but also because I got the package where you don't have to see ads on YouTube. So Simon O'Connor says, I loved your dinas. Can you build a two-way bookshelf? Thank you. Um, I don't know where if you built your dinas, Simon, or if you heard them somewhere, but they are still some of my favorite speakers. Not just because I helped design them, but because they sound awesome, right? The bass on them is still ridiculous for their size. They're hilarious. Can I build a two-way bookshelf? You mean design like a brand new one? I could, but there are already a lot of good ones. So if I made one, it probably wouldn't be as inexpensive as those. But yeah, I'd have to think if I wanted to do another project like that, I'd have to try to think of something that would be ridiculous, like something that you couldn't just go out and buy, right? That would there had to be a point to it, right? So I think the Dynas probably I would I would be curious to see what other speaker has similar specs to that, where it's pretty much a subwoofer, right? Subwoofer that we built into those things, and then an external tweeter, right? A la B&W, and with a plate amp on the back and the ability to adjust between the crossover point on the subwoofer, right? So you set your own crossover. I don't know very many speakers that can do some of those things or all of those things for sure. Sean says true. Not sure what you're referring to. Oh, Rich says yeah, he got the AXPONA email today, but our governors, governors' next plan is to ban all events and expos here in Illinois until further notice. Dang, the event bans are starting to hurt my business right now. What's your business, Rich? I'm kind of curious. But yeah, if the governor's banning stuff, then there might not be a reason for me to reschedule. But my flight, I'm talking about, because if it's banned, then I don't want to waste more money going to, set up for August, but hopefully not. Um, I'll have to just keep tabs on that and see what's going on. Intuit reviews. Are you going to the show in Long Beach again? Yeah, just because it's close. It's close, so for sure I gotta go. Anytime I have a chance to go and check out some speakers and be around audio, I'm gonna be there. Simon O'Connor. Thanks, man. Love the channel. Thank you very much. Uh, let's see. MQ found a 5.1 Pioneer FS52 bookshelf. Oh, so FS52 bookshelves and center for 320. Ah, that's a good deal. Let me know how you like that. Rich Johnson says, I do trade show exhibit stuff with media players, lighting, and such. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Expona is only the second delayed canceled. The second one delayed canceled here as of right now. I'm watching and waiting for more. Yeah, so I think Munich High End in Germany was also canceled. Lots of canceled shows, South by Southwest. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I would love to say like, oh man, it's just like all these paranoid people. But from my understanding, I think it seems pretty legitimate that people should be cautious, right? Not panicking. I wouldn't say panicking, but of course you should be cautious and you don't look, I wouldn't want to even get sick, right? Forget this whole virus thing. If there's any chance that I can avoid getting a common cold or getting a you know, whatever, a flu, I'm going to try to do that. So it's kind of funny. I always try to wash my hands thoroughly, but Angela, my wife, is just saying, "Hey, I noticed when I go to the bathroom, everybody's like really doing a good job of like taking their time and really washing their hands thoroughly, which they should have done previously anyway." So if we look at this in a positive light, at least we could say, man, maybe everything will be a little cleaner now, at least. Antoine Armstrong says human malware. Yeah, we need some malware bites for this virus. Some Avast antivirus. I used to do IT for a while. AVG, you guys know what that is? D Tasca says Geneva Auto Show canceled as well. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, think about these trade shows, right? You're flying in from all different locations, right? All different places, and just kind of, mixing with other people, shaking hands all day, you know. So yeah, of course, it's not a good location if you're trying to avoid the spread of anything, right? So let's see. Rich Johnson says, I think the unions here in Chicago will change the governor's mind. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You can keep me up to date. CES and NAM were lucky. Yes, so I was at CES. in Vegas. Um, yeah, that was right before all this started going down. I was listening to what was it? I think it was like a radio show with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was just saying something that was interesting to me. I like, that guy's a smart dude in my book, and he was saying that the tricky thing about this whole virus, we're talking about this virus. Of course, we have to, right? But he said the tricky thing about it is, people don't die instantly, right? If people were just dropping dead instantly, then that's it. You bury the person, and the virus gets buried with it. But the problem is that you know if the symptoms, sometimes people don't see the symptoms for a while, and that means that you have more of a chance to spread it. So that's where the issue is with that virus. Man, we're talking about everything and anything today, huh? Let me know in the chat here. I wonder if I could take a call right now. Let me see. I'll take a call if you guys want. Let's see here. And all right. So I'm gonna leave a number in the chat here. You can call it. Let me see if it works here. Yeah, it should. So here, call this number if you want to call in and ask a question. 818-237. 818-237-3030. Boom. Call that if you feel like calling in and having me answer a question, or if you want to just chat, whatever's good. Dat says ASR, so Audio Science Review, has started reviewing a lot of AVRs and speakers, and the results of his measurements are mediocre on a lot of high-end gear. Do you think it's a fair assessment of how this stuff really sounds? Hold on, I'm gonna pause this real quick because I do want to answer that, and if somebody calls, I won't be able to. Just mute that for a second. So what I would say to that, so I was actually tagged in a post, or one of my measurements was posted there for the Mica RB42s that I really liked, and his review was such that I don't know if he liked them or what, but he has this whole procedure of testing the speakers, and um, you know, that's all good. Like anytime somebody's willing to do objective measurements, I think that's great. I think that's what people like and what they need to make a good decision. The problem I have, and I said it in that forum, was just that you always have to interpret that, right? So you're not. It's not like you're just, here's the data, come to your own conclusion, right? It's that he also comes to a conclusion about what that data means, right? And I might not always agree with how he's looked at the data. You know, Sometimes it's a matter of like, I don't agree with how somebody measures, right? And somebody might not agree with the way I measure a speaker. But also, let's say we get the same exact measurement, we might have a different conclusion, right? I might say, well, that to me looks bright. Well, actually, no, if you look at the rest of it, that's pretty balanced. And so that's where I have a disagreement, is that I think that Amir over there should be very clear about what's the objective part, right? What's his measurement? And also, what is his opinion? And that's fine, right? I would love to hear everybody's opinion, right? But I think it should be very clear, because it's so technical. I think a lot of people are relying on him, like, I don't know what that graph means, can you just kind of like decode that for me? And so, yeah, sure, but I think you have to be careful, because in decoding that and making it simple for somebody else, you're injecting your own subjective opinions. And that's what I try to do in my reviews. I try to say like, hey, this is how my room responds, right? So imperfect room, and these are my preferences. And so if you don't have the same preferences as me, take what I say with a grain of salt. And so I think it's important. And one topic that I want to talk about in the future is, you can rate, let's say you can have objective measurements and say, let's say for a sub, if it doesn't hit, uh, let's say if it hits 20 hertz and below, then it's guaranteed to have a 7 out of 10. If it can go 18 hertz and below, then it's, and 15 hertz and below, that's a 10 out of 10, let's say. So those are objective things that you can either hit or not hit, right? So you can rate based on that for a sub. But then you, as somebody who's reading that, right? So let's just say that's one criteria. You have to think about how important that is to you, right? If you're like, I'm just trying to add a little bit extra bass, I don't care that it hits 15 hertz, but somebody who's building a movie theater might have a different opinion and say, I definitely want it to hit as low as possible with the most SPL. And so that that rating is going to carry more weight for certain people. And I think that that's what we need to look at when we're buying stuff is I think people need to have a better understanding of what they think is important, how they would weight stuff. Um, so yeah, I think that's why people like my speaker leaderboards because they can see me struggling, like trying to figure out where something should go. So, um, anyway, hopefully that answers your question. I do like what he's doing. I don't know that some of the stuff that he's testing how it translates to what we actually hear, right? So sometimes he says this amp like is terrible, like again, perspective, right? So he's reviewed the SMSL 8018 and it's $144 amplifier, 149, whatever. It's cheap. And so, yeah, it didn't score that well, right? So in his charts, like probably towards the bottom or somewhere not very good. But it's 144 bucks, right? So compared to what, right? In the whole scheme of things, if you were to plug in that app and listen to it and plug in some decent speakers, you'd be like, man, this is amazing for the price. So you always have to keep a sense of perspective. And I think that gets lost a lot of times. Um, yeah, I think that's something you have to be careful of. Like with the RB42s, it's funny because I keep trying to remind people, like, we're talking about $150 pair of speakers, right? And you're talking about, the other speakers are KEF speakers, LS50s. I'm like, we're talking about $150 pair of speakers. And the fact that in their system, they're like, somebody has a rating system there. I think it scores like real close to the LS50s. What does that say? So I don't think that that's true, but I do think that they're very good for their price. Anyway, moving on. MQ says, love the Pioneers, totally love the mids, running them on a Denon 3600H. It's enough power. Yeah, so those Pioneers that we're talking about, they do have enough detail, but some of that top end, like, I think around like 1 kilohertz around there. I think Andrew Jones kind of voiced them so like eases off there. So what normally are kind of like harsh sounds, he's kind of tapered those off. And for a lot of people, they've taken that and they've seen that and they said like, oh, these are dull speakers, right? But in actuality, I think it kind of goes back up towards the end. So that the real fine detail, you'll hear that on those speakers. So I don't think that they're a dark speaker. A lot of people said that they were. I don't think so. And my measurements don't think so. But again, that's my interpretation of those measurements, right? Um Kyle says, I do indeed like to see you struggle. Yes. Yes. So I used to try to cut those out, like just get to the point and show where I place them. And people are like, no, 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 I want to hear you like struggle to place those speakers. All right. So I left that in. D Tasca says, Joe, just wondering why the price point of home theater pre-pros is much higher than an AV receiver. You know what? I think that would be an something that Gene from Audioholics would better suited to answer because he does a lot of testing and he has recently done some tests on the pre-pros, and I think he's found that there's a reason why they sound better. I don't know that it warrants the price difference. It, psh, you I don't have the answer to that. You know, my guess would be because they invest more in the quality of the components. But another thing you have to consider is maybe a lot of the cost is the actual, building the case and the shipping and all the logistics of coming out with a new product and having two separate products. Maybe that eats into some of that into their profits, so they have to raise the price. Just a guess. Right. Matt Hilty says, I have a parent sound A23 and I'm thinking about upgrading to an amp with more refined sound. Any recommendation? Parasound A23. Let me take a look at that real quick. Parasound A23. I'm pretty sure pretty much everything that they come out with from Parasound is decent. I see right here A23, and this one is a John Curl design. Let's see here. I'm kind of curious what you're saying about more refined. Like, in what ways is that not refined? Would be my question. Um, let me just take a look. So, class AB, high bias. I don't see anything here that would just scream like, "Oh, this is not a good amplifier," and you could upgrade and get something much better. You know, I've I've reviewed a class AB desktop amplifier that was $600 or something like that for a little desktop amplifier. And I've reviewed, like I was saying, those SMSL class D, $150 amplifiers. And I don't know if I could tell the difference, to be honest. It would be, it's tough. All I know is that the class AB one was more picky about the resistance of the speakers, right? So I couldn't run low ohm speakers on that one, whereas the class D was like, whatever you want to throw at me, I'll play. So it's tough, man. I'm not I'm sure there are differences, right? But hearing those differences, yeah, it's tough. I'm sure if you had, some really awesome speakers, you had everything dialed in and you were to change out the amp, yeah, you'd probably be able to hear a difference, right? But I don't know, the amps, they play different with each other. So that's the problem, right? They might sound awesome on one speaker, maybe not so good on another speaker. Um, you have to just test them out. So I'm sorry, I don't think I have a specific answer for you. I haven't even tested that many more expensive amplifiers than the one you have there. The A23 looks like what, $900 plus. So let's see here. Looking forward to the PSB Bookshelf review. Have heard good things about them. Yeah, yeah. I think they do their thing. You guys want me to tell you right now? I mean, this is not the review. I can tell you what I think already. MQ says my ear loves them and I'm happy. That's that's awesome. As long as your ears love them. Don't go listen to some better speakers though. See? That's what happens. You go listen to some better speakers and then you're like, "Oh man, I'm missing this and that." And then it never ends. So if you're happy, then just enjoy them, play a lot of music and dance a lot and have people over. Do all the things you're supposed to do with speakers. All right. Matt Hilty says, I want a little more treble smoothness and detail with little fatigue. See, here's the thing, Matt. I don't know that I would look, for me personally, I wouldn't look to the amplifier to f- to to change those things. I'm sure they could, but it wouldn't be the first thing that I would look to change them. Now, if you've already done all kinds of other things, you know, let's say uh placement of the speakers, right? I would definitely mess around with toe in, toe out, right? So most of the time, if you have the speaker directly on axis, that's going to give you a sharper treble response, right? You start angling them away from your ears, and the top end starts to taper off. I mean, that's one thing I would try. Now, if that still is not enough, maybe get them a little bit closer to the walls, because if it sounds lean, doesn't have enough bass, then the treble respective to the bass sounds, too high. So maybe trying a change like that. And then I don't know if your A23 has tone controls, but there's a reason it's there, right? Go ahead and mess with the treble and tone controls and see if you can dial it down a little bit. It's not against the rules to mess with those knobs, right? So if it has it, I would play with those things first. And then maybe your room is extremely reflective, right? What's on the sidewalls, right? Do you have wooden floors? Because that's gonna affect the sound a lot too. So check those things out first and see what you can do with that before trying to change out your amp. I would probably only change out the amp if there was an issue with it, and if it didn't have enough power, if it just sounded terrible, right? If there was it had a lot of distortion, usually because it doesn't have enough power. Those are the reasons I would probably change out an app. AVR just because maybe doesn't have the newest, decoding, or doesn't have uh, the right HDMI stuff. So different reasons for AVR. Mm, let's see. Dom is enough, says Joe. What large sealed bookshelf speakers do you like? It's sealed is not like a common. I don't think a sealed speaker is very common. The last sealed speaker I reviewed was the Fluence AI 60, and those are some active speakers. And it makes sense when you go active because then you can start um minimizing the downsides to a sealed speaker. So minimize, sealed speaker is better when you have them close to the wall. Downside is it doesn't have as much low end bass extension, right? It's more controlled, so that's a good thing, but not it doesn't hit those lows as well as a ported speaker, because that's the point of the port is you tune it to hit frequencies that you can't normally hit with a sealed enclosure. But with DSP, you're able to bump up that low end and kind of make up for the lack of low end extension while still retaining some of the benefits of a sealed speaker. Yeah, I don't know very many sealed speakers. You might have to make one if you're looking for one. Uh, IS1000 says Intuit reviews. Yeah, I definitely like this Yamaha. The Yamaha that I have, I like, and they have some higher end Yamaha ones. Um, yeah, I like those. Let's see. Damian Jackson. Hi, Joe and Tell. How are you doing? I just got my new butt kicker BK QCP Quick Connect package box in the mail from eBay for my home theater upgrade. So butt kicker BK QCP. Let me see what that is. QCP butt kicker. All right. Okay, cool. So I know what it is. It's like those bass shaker things. And man, I owe these guys a review. Shoot. I have so many things to review, guys. It's crazy. But yeah, I've had some experience. I have some bass shakers, and I think they do a great job of adding to the immersion, right? So if you have a great sub, it just, shakes your couch a little bit more, right? I love them. I like them. I've never tried the butt kicker ones, but I believe they'd probably be better than what I have. I think they're more expensive, so a little bit more shaking going on. Sean says, "I love the AI 60s." Yes, so it's funny. I like the AI 40s a lot when they came out. The AI 60s I was a little bit less impressed with because they were larger and they didn't give more for the amount. So 199 was the price for the AI 40s when they first came out. AI 60s were 299. So $100 difference when you're talking about that price range is a huge difference, right? Plus they were significantly bigger, but I didn't feel like they were significantly better, right? Like if I had to do it all over again and recommend it, I'd probably recommend the AI 40s unless you needed the optical input and you know the AI 40s initially had an issue with it, like making a high pitched noise, but they've since fixed that. So yeah, Coach Cole. Oh, we're at 53 minutes, man. Time flies when you're having fun. Coach Cole says, ever find yourself paying attention to settings and differences more than just enjoying your system? I know you review a lot of gear, but do you ever just kick back and listen? Yeah, I did that the other night for like about 4 hours. I just, I just, it was a different test of the speakers, right? So I was swapping out like four different pairs of speakers. And what I wanted to know was which one got me the most emotionally involved, right? Like which one made me want to just like, you know what? I don't want to play with speakers. I don't want to I'm just going to leave these and just listen. And I wanted to see which one of the speakers did that for me. So, it's a different type of test. I really do test these speakers and try to give you guys a good idea of what the experience is like with the speakers. So yeah, yeah, I am guilty of doing that though. Like I'm the annoying guy who, like, if we're about to watch a movie The movie will start and be like, "Oh, hold on a second, let me go check my Odyssey settings. Let me just make sure." And so the menu will come up on the screen, and you have to wait. I'm the annoying guy. So yeah, I gotta stop that. All right, Dom says, "Is not sealed speaker. What about large front ported speaker you may like?" Well, the ELAC debut reference is a front ported speaker. What else is front ported? I haven't tested out those triangle speakers that everybody's reviewing right now, but I believe they have some bigger ones that are front ported. What other front ported stuff? Yeah, I mean those ELAC debut reference I like. The ELAC debut 2.0, not my favorite. They were good, but just not my favorite. D Tasker says, Joe, would you prefer a vintage receiver or amp over a more modern equivalent, especially for the Dentons? Ooh, you asking the tough questions, man. I like vintage receivers, man. I like them just simply because I think they look cool. And back then, the wattage ratings were like they were true wattage ratings, right? Because they're really when you don't have all this technology to compete, well, this one has Atmos and this one has this and this one has that. When you're just purely competing like back in those days, right? On the sound quality, you better believe that that amp has to have accurate wattage. It has to perform, it has to kick butt. And so that's the reason I like some of the older vintage stuff. Plus, I think they look cool. I like a silver face receiver. I think they look awesome. Now, if I were to test out a brand new, higher end Yamaha with a silver face, I'd probably think it's awesome also. You know what I mean? But it's something about I like the history of an old receiver. I don't know. I just like the way they look. And I think they sound a little different. So my old Marantz definitely sounds different. So that's what I was saying. I think an amplifier can make a difference, but it's not what I would rely on to make that difference for that other question. Sean says, I use the optical cable on the AI60 with Chromecast audio and USB. I think it's worth it. Yeah, well, if you're using the optical, yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. Yeah, I had what was it? Yeah, we had dinner with the Fluence guys at CES. They took me out to eat some teppan at Benihana. So it was cool hanging out with those guys, and they were just very appreciative of the reviews. And yeah, hopefully they have some new stuff coming out soon. I like what they came out with. So hopefully soon. We're at 58 minutes. We got 37 people in here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a while. Think I have time for one more question. I never even got to the phone calls. All good. All good. So yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about? So next week we should be back on schedule with the rest of the guys. Let me know what you guys want us to do with regards to the podcast too. But we just have to figure out a way to make it worth it for all of us because we're all getting together, right? Taking the time to do this sort of stuff, and we love hanging out with you guys, but you know, in some ways we have to make a living also. So let's see here. Into it says large sealed bookshelf. My baby's Gershman Acoustics Studio 2's 3800 now, but damn, so good. Um, yeah. So I've heard good things about them. I've never tried any Gershman Acoustics, but I'm interested. Dom says thanks very much. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I enjoy doing this. Let's see here. Brendan says a good help for review time. If you're doing theater, a lot of the kids' movies, Backyardigans, most Disney have great soundtracks. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching the videos. Thank you for always supporting. I do have a Patreon page at patreon.com/Joe and Tell. So if you want to support on there, I do a better job of answering all the questions on Patreon because right now I'm getting to the point where it does get pretty crazy when people comment where a lot of times I just have to hit the heart, you know what I mean? Just to let people know that I'm seeing their comment, but it just takes too much time. I would take hours out of my day to respond to everybody. But if you definitely want a response, hit me up on Patreon, patreon.com/Joe and Tell. But yeah, I have a few reviews coming out, and it was fun talking to you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But I'm gonna have to take off right now and continue cleaning this house here. All right, take care. Bye bye.